You don't wake up at the same time every night because your bladder is full, your cortisol is too high, or your circadian rhythm is broken. You wake up at the same time because your nervous system set an internal alarm and it does not trust you enough to turn it off. That's the part nobody tells you. And once you see it, this stops feeling like random insomnia and starts looking like a learned pattern that can actually be reversed. If you want the full breakdown of how this alarm gets wired and how to dismantle it without pills or white-knuckling sleep, I laid it out step by step in the guide, but even this explanation alone usually hits harder than anything people have heard before. Here's what's really happening. When you wake up at the same time every night, 3:40, 4 o'clock, 4:20, that's not your body randomly waking. That's a predictive response. Your nervous system learned that around this time, something feels unsafe, not consciously unsafe, not a memory you can point to, just a window where vigilance spikes, and once the brain learns that pattern, it stops waiting for danger and starts preempting it. You don't wake up because something happened, you wake up because your system expects something might happen. This usually forms during a period of chronic stress, burnout, emotional overload, or long-term insomnia itself. Maybe you were waking up anxious during that time, maybe you checked the clock every night, maybe you panicked once or twice at 4 a.m., wondering if you'd ever sleep again. That's enough. The nervous system doesn't need trauma, it just needs repetition. Same time, same arousal, same, oh shit, here we go again. After a while, it stops being reactive and becomes automatic. And here's the part that sounds counterintuitive but matters. The wake-up itself becomes the threat. Your body isn't waking you up because the night is dangerous. It's waking you up because waking you up worked before. It kept you alert, it kept you scanning, it kept you alive and functional. From the system's point of view, that alarm did its job, so it keeps firing. This is why changing bedtime, supplements, magnesium, breath work, or sleep hygiene often does nothing. You're trying to modify the surface while the alarm is running underneath. And the alarm doesn't care what time you went to bed, it cares what time it learned to spike. Most people think, if I could just sleep through that hour, I'd be fine. But forcing yourself back to sleep, checking the clock, calculating how much rest you've lost, or getting frustrated actually reinforces the pattern. You're telling your nervous system, yes, this hour is important, yes, this moment is dangerous, good job waking me, so it does it again, and again, and again. Here's the shift that changes everything. The goal is not to sleep through that time. The goal is to make that time boring to your nervous system, neutral, uneventful, unimportant. That's how alarms shut off, not by fighting them, but by removing their purpose. This is why people sometimes say, I woke up at 4 again, but I didn't freak out, and somehow it passed faster. That's not coincidence, that's extinction. The system tested the alarm, didn't get the usual spike of panic, urgency, or hyperfocus, and quietly logged, maybe we don't need this anymore. Do that enough times, and the alarm loses its job. But here's where most insomniacs mess this up. They try to stay calm on the surface, while internally monitoring themselves. Am I relaxed enough? Is my heart rate going down? Am I falling back asleep? That's still vigilance, that's still feeding the alarm. Calm isn't something you perform, it's something that happens when the system stops being watched. This is why the fix is not a technique you use at 4 a.m. The real work happens before you go to bed. Your nervous system needs to feel that the day actually ended, not just that you stopped moving. Most insomniacs never close the stress loop of the day. They carry unresolved tension, unfinished emotional signals, and unprocessed stimulation straight into bed. So the system schedules a check-in at the same time every night. Hey, are we safe yet? And since the answer is unclear, it wakes you up to find out. When you start consistently teaching your system that nothing bad happens when it lets go, not through force, but through predictable signals, the wake-up time starts drifting. First it's later, then it's lighter, then it happens once and stops, then one night it just doesn't show up. This is not magic, it's how learning works, and this is exactly why random tips fail and structured resets work, which is why the guide focuses so heavily on timing, completion, and nervous system trust instead of hacks. The most important thing to understand is this: you are not stuck waking up at the same time. You trained a reflex, and reflexes can be untrained. Your body isn't broken, it's consistent. Once it learns that 4 a.m. is no longer relevant, no longer dangerous, no longer interesting, it stops ringing the bell. If this explanation feels uncomfortably accurate, that's a good sign. It means you're not dealing with mysterious insomnia, you're dealing with a pattern that finally makes sense, and patterns that make sense are the ones you can actually change.